Let's get together. Stop all this fussing and fighting. Let's love one another. You gotta help your mother, help your father, help your brothers, help your sisters, help your neighbors and your friends. We are one people, one nation, one destiny. Everybody, y'all. One people, one nation, one destiny. Yeah, yeah. We were separated. Now we are free. That's the way it should be. You gotta help your mother, help your father, help your sister, help your brothers, help your neighbors and your friends. We are one people, one nation, one destiny. Yeah, yeah. One people, one nation, one destiny.
Attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington Law Firm, located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you, so call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.
If you are looking to have your statutory declaration, affidavit of income, identity, damage or lost passport, lost license, tenancy agreement, agreement of settlement, power of attorney, last will and testament, and certification of documents, then you need to visit the Alistair Collins firm, located at the Killian Mall, 162 Lamaha Street, in Georgetown, between Camp and Waterloo Street. Alistair Collins is a commissioner of oaths and a justice of the peace. Make certain you visit him or call for more information at 649-6410 or 685-6448 or 503-1451. And there's adequate parking available. Go down to the Alistair Collins firm and have all of your legal issues settled and brought to the fore. Alistair Collins Firm. Contact them at Alistair Collins Firm.
All right. Hey, guess what? Good evening. It's just a little after 9 o'clock. It's a beautiful evening and lovely evening where I am. I'm not sure about where you are, but I hope that it's a lovely evening as well, especially the folks out there in London. We have a lot of folks from the UK. They are 5 hours ahead, but guess what? They stay up because they want to hear what is happening in that beautiful country of ours. Good evening to all of you. And I'll tell you guys this, lots of things are happening in Guyana. Lots and lots of things. There are some positive things from the private folks side, those folks who are trying to make things happen, the positive side of life. And so I don't want to make this or give this impression that we're only here to talk about when you tune into this radio station. or this particular program that you hear just the negative side of things. And of course, the negative side of things is mostly, and for the most part, it has to do with the politics, the governance, the bad governance of our country. And we have seen this sort of bad governance over 2 years now. We're a country that is divided, and all of our natural resources and every single thing is being just smuggled out. It's being, people are being ripped off left, right, and center, and no good governance in the country. And that's a fact. Someone brought to my attention that if you check on this, these handouts, it's almost similar to what Kamala Harris out in Trinidad and Tobago through her party. And I'm speaking specifically about this cash grant for the kids who are, what's the politically correct term, looking at some of your comments. I don't want to say disabled, because kids are not disabled. Kids can do stuff. Some go through some challenges. And so nothing is wrong with any government taking care of kids in need. But I heard earlier in the show this morning, earlier today, that J.R. Crawford on the mid-morning show with Earl Bishop actually said that, look, hey, nothing is wrong with that. But and I'm sure most of you would agree that the way that this install regime, they just get up and just say, look, we are going to hand out monies to kids who are disabled, or we're going to hand out money to fishermen, and we're going to hand out, it's just a handing out with no accountability at all, none whatsoever. I do believe that people should get help, especially our young people. They should get help. Real help, not just a handout, a one-time handout, then you get a photo opportunity, and that's the end of it. Because for 23 years, they have not shown any concern in terms of kids who are in need. We have lots of rehabilitation centers, the Ptolemy Reed and so forth. Had it not been for private folks who have invested and continue to donate to those institutions that reach out to kids who are in need, I'm not sure where our young people who really, really do need help, who have some sort of physical challenge or whatever the case may be, they have not been able to do so. Then you have the David Rose School as well. Same thing. They have ignored it. And suddenly they want you to think, Air Finale and them want you to think that they are so concerned now about these kids who need help. I don't know. I'm not buying that from them at all. It's another scheme. It's another corruption that we're going to see coming out of that. Like I've said, there's no accountability, nothing. Have you guys heard back about the fishermen who supposedly got $150,000? Looks as though whenever Air Finale goes to bed and he gets up back in the morning, however he feels, however he twists his hands, whatever goes through his mind, and this is what they say is going to happen today. So today we're going to give out money. Today we are going to give out part-time jobs and all these manner of things. There's no proper planning. And we can see exactly what they're up to. No proper planning. For example, they went to the quarantine. They just want to pacify the people there. And those people are frustrated out on the quarantine. As they are frustrated, people are frustrated throughout the country, right? So they gone to the quarantine and they say that fishermen, you catch fish and they're going to start exporting fish and all these things, shrimps and so forth, because they don't want to say to the people that the sugar industry is dead. They're not going to say it. So they're going to go to Barbies, they're going to go to other places that are known to be their stronghold, and they are going to lie. They're going to continue to lie to the people in those areas, just as they have lied to the people as it pertains to the sugar industry, which is dead, almost dead. Speaking of death, gosh, look at these youngsters. Mike Coney, rice mill. We have heard nothing absolutely nothing about this here. The parents, the loved ones of these individuals now have to suffer. Who has been held accountable? What about the owner of the rice mill, who obviously got some connection to the PPP? And once you have connections to the PPP, that's it. Don't expect any form of justice. Now, I know the young man, Shaquille Butt's family. I have met Shaquille. This was brought to my attention that this is the young man that I met several years ago. Um, I don't know what's happening in the country. His family members are upset. His wife, his kids, and all these things this young man, Shaquille Butts, is leaving behind. All because, along with the family members of Gosham Narain, nobody's there to stand up and say that these families need justice. These big companies hire these young men, no protection, no nothing, have them go up on electrical poles, have them run wires and all manner of things with absolutely nothing at all to protect them. And then when they die, their family, they have to lay on the street corner like dogs. And then their family members hear from some third person, third hand information. The owner doesn't call, they don't give a damn or anything. All because they feel that they are big and they're powerful. And the family members of Gosham Narain and Shaquille Butts have to what? They have to mourn. They have to feel the pain. And no one, absolutely no one, is there for them. Again, my condolences to the Narain family and the Butts family on this tragic deaths of these individuals. What else is happening? Talk to me. What else is happening in the country? Everybody seemed to be happy with everything. The politicians especially seem to be happy. Some of the citizens seem to be happy. They're going out and they're enjoying themselves. It's okay. People should go out and enjoy themselves. But what sort of political pushback are we seeing? I just don't know. I want to touch on that, though. But before we touch on that, what a light moment. Look at this. A photograph is creating a stir, so to speak. A photograph, a simple photograph that we see here. Former General Secretary of the People's National Congress Reform, Amna Ali, celebrated her birthday. And all these people attended. They attended, and it's a big issue. Wait, whatever happened to, can't we all get along? Look, Amna Ali and I, she's not one of my favorite person at all, but neither is she an enemy. Look, belated happy birthday to you, Amna Ali. Belated happy birthday to you. So this photograph gets some people vexed. Look who is there and look who is not there. Meanwhile, we're not looking at the bigger picture. The bigger picture is, and mind you, this is a beautiful photograph, right? I just wish lots more people would have been there to show that unity, that form of unity. Some of them, they want to show unity within their own coalition camp. They prefer to go out and take nice photographs with Jack Dio and Irfan and all these manner of things. But nice photograph. Let's move on. We get better things to do, way better things to do. Speaking of way better things to do, this weekend, the Alliance for Change, these guys are fighting for leadership. Meanwhile, the people throughout the country, regardless of whether they're coalition supporters, they're PNCR supporters or whoever they support. Well, we can't say the WPA get a couple of people, man, but the WPA always fighting for some position, and the WPA get a couple of people. I know my good friend David Hines, Dr. David Hines, may be watching. Good evening to you, Dr. Hines. I think they still play a role. Dr. Hines and others, they stand up, they speak out, when lots of other people are afraid to speak out. So I'm not knocking at my friend, Dr. David Hines, right? But look at these two guys. People want leadership throughout the country, but I guess leadership and representation of the people is basically secondary to some of these guys. But it is what it is, right? The AFC's Congress, like I've said, is coming up on Saturday, this Saturday. I don't know. But David Patterson, Kemraj Ramjatan, they want to be the leader. And then when they become the leader, what happens? We back to square one? I don't know. But when we talk right here on 107.1 FM, they get vexed. Some of them get very vexed, but we're not concerned. We're not concerned about that. And speaking of not being concerned about that, I want them to know that they're not going to be on our watch list, because we don't have a watch list here on 107.1 FM, right? What we do is that we speak the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Good evening to all of you. If you're now joining us, and those of you who are joining us for the first time, good evening and welcome to Straight Up on 107.1 FM. Speaking of watch list, hey, guess what? Thank you so much, Lemon. Speaking of watch list, folks are saying that Ben, Robeson Ben, who recently said that the police has a watch list, meaning a list of Guyanese who are criticizing the installed, corrupt, racist PPP regime. And so there is this watch list, and the police basically police individuals on social media who are anti-PPP. Well, they might as well put the entire population on this watch list, because on the PPP's watch list, because most Guyanese are fed up, most Guyanese are frustrated, most Guyanese need betterment in the country. They don't need part-time jobs, which we don't even know what sort of part-time jobs. You go into a community, you give them, a little shovel, a little hoe, and I really do mean, I don't, no pun intended when I say a little hoe, right? To go out and clean drains and all manner of things. It's a waste of money. There's no part-time jobs. There's nothing. Just like the 50,000 jobs that they've promised, they cannot produce anything. And so the only thing that they've been able to produce thus far is a watch list. But let's remind Robeson Ben and those goons in the PPP, since they're talking about a watch list, right? Maybe we know that there's another watch list, and this is what we want Ben to watch out for, that other watch list. Because as it says here, lots of PPP official members are, and members of the private sector, commission, police officers, drug lords are on the U.S. watch list. So these goons, Ben and the PPP, his PPP cohorts, they may have their silly little watch list that means nothing, but we got to look at the bigger picture. There's a bigger watch list, and thank God that watch list is in the hands of the U.S. and law enforcement agencies in the U.S. that are looking at PPP officials, looking at certain members of the private sector commission, certain police officers, and drug lords are watching them. All right? So everybody is watching everybody. Good evening again to all of you. What else is bothering you? Have you guys read something about Silal Prasad, the former commissioner of police? Silal got a book that is out. But you know, when people write books, right? They're not going to tell you everything. They're going to pick out what they want to write. Just like when I have my book out. Do you think I'm going to tell you everything? You think that I'm going to tell you that one day I cried about a particular situation, or one day I fainted, or one day? No, you write a book to look good, to prop yourself up. Well, of course, when I write my book, it's going to be the truth, because I have nothing to hide. You know, that's just who I am. Absolutely nothing to hide at all. Now, let's get to this book. Silal Prasad, former commissioner of police. He was the former crime chief also before he became commissioner of police. But one of the things that I thought that, and I saw I saw Freddie Kissoon, praising and hugging up the same Silal Prasad that used to dig little locking up on us and all manner of things. That when Silal Prasad was commissioner of police or even crime chief and all these things, Freddie Kissoon felt so unsafe, and others, including myself, so unsafe in Guyana as a result of this man's leadership. Now, this is not to say that maybe he, wasn't able to execute some good things. I don't want to paint him all in a bad brush, mind you. But for the most part, this guy has been controversial, exceedingly controversial. But yet, of course, we don't expect any better from Freddie Kissoon now, praising all these individuals all of a sudden, as we would say in Guyana, right? All of a sudden. But in the book, I didn't hear or see any mention, mind you, of the Lindo Creek controversy. Because I say controversy, it is still a controversy how those miners met their deaths. It wasn't coincidental. And so they attempted to blame others for the deaths of those miners. But what they are not going to say to you is the truth behind those miners being murdered. And that the people that they want you guys to believe murdered those people are not necessarily the people who murdered them. And maybe if Mr. Silal Prasad is going to have another book, maybe he can mention that in the book. Because, a lot of unanswered questions, lots and lots of unanswered questions during that period, including, mind you, the murders of those miners, but also not in that book. You guys remember Silal Prasad just before he went into retirement, that he wanted to start up a security firm. You remember that? So in order to do that, to start up such a company in Guyana, you have to write to the Commissioner of Police. So here's what Silal Prasad did. He picked up a notepad and he wrote a letter to the Commissioner of Police requesting his application to be approved to own a security firm. So Silal Prasad sat down at his desk at Ivleri in his office, at the office of the Commissioner of Police, and Silal Prasad wrote to himself, the Commissioner of Police. Here is what happened. Silal sat in his office, wrote a letter. Dear Commissioner of Police, and he is the Commissioner of Police, mind you. Dear Commissioner of Police, I, Silal Prasad, am requesting permission or favorable conclusion of my application for a security firm. Signed, sincerely, Silal Prasad. Looking forward to a prompt response from your office, Mr. Commissioner of Police, the Honorable Silal Prasad. So isn't that comical? Because here it is that you have a man writing himself a letter. But of course, only certain people are going to jump up and praise him. And then he is going to praise certain people who helped out the police force with computer training and all these manner of dotishness, right? I don't know. I just did. The man who should have actually got a book out before he died was, who was it? Not forget about Henry Green. His book would have been a horrible book. His book would have been a horror story. But it would have been interesting to read a book from Larry Lewis, right? That would have been interesting. So interesting, right? Gosh, I don't know. So what else can we talk about this beautiful Tuesday evening? I don't know. Talk to me. You guys tell me. I'm looking at some of your comments. Some of you are definitely smiling about Silal Prasad and his book. I so much that I know about Silal Prasad during his reign as commissioner of police that I don't think that I have to read his book to know what transpired. I don't have to read his book at all. I don't. All right. So what else it is? Let's go to Freddie Kissoon now. Freddie Kissoon wrote in an article that he was approached by Sean Hines. Many of you know Sean Hines, right? Many of you know Sean Hines, and not in a good way at all. Sean Hines is part of a death squad. He has admitted that they had to go out and do some bad things to people, including bad things to Freddie Kissoon, including lots of bad things. And I have known Sean Hines over the years. In fact, at Camp Street University, he was there. He was in an apartment next to mine, right? And so I understand what played out, right? I understand what played out, but here is what happened. Here is what happened. A former death squad member. I don't know if Sean Hines is still part of a death squad or Phantom Squad, because the death squad is still there. The Phantom Squad is still there. Some of them are parading around with certain ministers and all kinds of things, shooting, kicking footballs here and there and all manner of things. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? But look, according to Freddie Kissoon, and now this is comical, right? This is comical. According to Freddie Kissoon, is that he was at the national park because for Freddie, everything happens at the national park. Everybody see him, walks up to him and tells him everything, every single thing. They confess to him. They do all manner of things to only Freddie, right? They confess. Everything they do, they confess. And so here is what happened. According to Freddie, Polari, you know what his name is, Polari, right? According to Freddie, Sean Hines, this former death squad member, killing squad member, saw him, called him. Hey, Freddie, come. Told Freddie, that's according to Freddie, mind you, that Sean Hines, saved Freddie Kissoon's life because Freddie was supposed to have been dead. And Sean Hines said that they can't kill Freddie because Freddie's a journalist, man. How we gonna kill Freddie? We can't kill Freddie. And Freddie ran away with that and believed that Sean Hines saved his life. You guys got to see me smiling about this. And Freddie loves to say that he knows the streets and he's this and he's from Worthmanville and all manner of things, and he grew up rough, and he's the only one grew up rough, right? But here's a joke. And he apparently believes what Sean Hines said to him, that Sean Hines saved his life. So Sean Hines thought that he had the power, that if somebody who was paying people like Sean Hines and others to go out and do some very bad things, that if they pay Sean Hines to go out and eliminate Freddie, that Sean Hines had that power, that authority to say, no, they are not going to eliminate Freddie because Freddie is a journalist. And then if we get rid of Freddie, somebody else is going to start right again. And whoever believes that Jim Cockbring Ram Goat story, I don't believe it. I don't believe it for a bit. All right? Mind you, this is the same Sean Hines who told me almost the identical thing. Who told me almost the identical thing, right? So if Freddie Kissoon, also known as Polari Man, if Freddie Kissoon wants to be that gullible, let him go right ahead and be gullible. I'm not going to be that gullible. I am not silly. I'm not, anyways, I wanted to use another term, but maybe on another occasion, right? Certainly not silly at all. I wonder if these guys had this sort of thing about going out and executing, assassinating people, whether that was the same view held for a Ronald Waddle, right? A Ronald Waddle, who's a law student, graduated, I believe, from law school, at the University of Guyana, right? A man who was out there in communities, despite what some folks with an agenda, some of the PPP lunatic fringe, Polaris and so forth, forget about what they say. But that same approach, as Sean Hines said to Freddie Kissoon, that he didn't want Freddie to be killed. And Freddie loves that, because here's a death squad guy, a former death squad guy saying, you could have been dead, but I am the one who saved you, right? So you got to be grateful to me. You can write that. I am the one who saved you. Right? These guys, I wish some of them had that same approach to Ronald Waddle when he was assassinated, Courtney Crummy Wing when he was assassinated. And mind you, Sean Hines' name has been calling on the assassination of Crummy Wing, the assassination of Ronald Waddle, etc., etc. But this is the same guy is saying to Freddie that I saved you. This is the same guy who said almost the identical thing to me, what he said to Freddie Kissoon. So I smiled when I saw that. And Polari Man wrote about it. I smiled about it. Good evening to all of you, right? All of you. All right. So what else what else you guys want to talk about? You want to talk about lovers? Well, not lovers in the sense of that interpretation of lovers. Political lovers. You guys want to talk about political lovers? Are you serious? You really want to talk about political lovers? Talk about political lovers. But let's take a quick break. And we will be right back, and I'll talk about political lovers with you guys this evening. We'll talk about political lovers. We can talk about that.
So this is attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington law firm located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you. So call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.
It means that we would not have gotten the statements of poll for every poll. Honest, the People's Republic Party have only a handful of statements of poll. The people who will have statements of poll for all the polling stations would be the large parties, which would be the coalition and the PPPC, because they would have been able to send scrutineers to all the
All right, so you guys got a message, scrutineers, right? But what the pastor stopped short of saying, mind you, she's in the kitchen there. Good evening to you, Pastor. How are you doing? We haven't seen you in a while, but this is not the political lovers that we're talking about. We're not talking about that. I just thought that I'd play that to remind you guys that there is still this elections petition that the PPP is running away from. They don't want to hear anything about the elections petition, and we all know why, right? They no longer want to hear about SOPs, and we all know why. So don't be too bothered when you hear PPP acolytes talk about and their acolytes talk about Aubrey Norton got to find SOPs. I don't know why Aubrey told him that he's going to bring his SOP. I don't know. That's should not have been uttered. But what SOPs? All of the SOPs are in the court. And I want to see what are in those SOPs. I want the court to compare the coalition's SOPs Mind you, it's not PNC SOPs. The coalition's SOPs compare, let us see, and compare the PPP's SOPs. Gosh, the PPP wouldn't like that at all. Their supporters wouldn't like that at all, because their SOPs, the PPP SOPs, will confirm exactly what this woman, this pastor, was saying, that what was on the SOPs given to her by a big party, and that big party, I'm putting my head on the block, was the PPP that actually gave her those SOPs. And she said that according to what she saw on those SOPs, totally contrast what was on her small parties and small parties SOPs. So right away, red flag, right away. But she doesn't want to come out and speak the truth. And this is a reverend, mind you, a woman of God who's supposed to speak the truth. But she didn't speak the truth. She stopped short of coming out to say that the numbers she saw on the PPP SOPs, I am saying that it's the PPP SOPs, and I'm saying that she didn't want to come out to say that it was the PPP's SOPs, that the numbers were incorrect. Incorrect. She wouldn't want to come out and say that at all, right? For whatever reason. Okay? But that's not the political love affair I'm talking about at all. Let me see if some of you guys can guess. There is a marriage. There's a marriage. They have gotten married. There is no prenuptial agreement. Is that, I don't know who is, but there's no prenuptial agreement at all. It's a free for all. And I tell you what, it is not a fair marriage at all. It is not a fair political marriage at all. Despite what she's saying, mind you, in case you haven't recognized her, that's the Prime Minister of Barbados, Maya Motley. It's Maya Motley is there. They're hugging each other, and they're saying we either stick together or fall apart. And now that is that particular statement. We either stick together or fall apart. And that is what they want. This political affair, this political love affair, to last for however long. But let us stick to Guyana. There is no sticking together in Guyana when it comes to Irfan Ali. There's none whatsoever, right? So he prefers to hug up a woman who helped to put them in office by turning a blind eye to fraudulent votes, thousands of fraudulent votes, and only relied on a small percentage of what the CARICOM observer teams went down there for the recount process. Just they went and they observed about less than 10%, and they were able to conclude that the PPP, well, they didn't conclude that the PPP won, but they gave that impression with only maybe 5 or 10% of the votes at the recount center. 5 or 10%, and that is what this lady Maya Motley ran with. That is what she ran with, because it was fixed. The elections were fixed. And so she knew this game. She knew the game that she was playing. And right now, whatever she wants from Guyana, if she wants land, she got land. If she wants loans, she's going to get loans. If she wants houses, she's going to get houses. Whatever she wants, she will get. Simple as that. So this sticking together has nothing to do with the nation. This sticking together has nothing to do with the people. This sticking together has nothing to do with the development of Guyana. It is a selfish motive. It's about them, what they can achieve for themselves. And now the only person in this marriage that is going to get pounds and pounds of flesh and bite a big, sorry, no pun intended when I say bite, a big flesh of the Guyanese people would be Maya Motley. Maya Motley. While this guy is pomposetting because the photo op, he thinks the photo ops make him look good. And he thinks by uttering these things, we either stick together or fall apart. Go to Linden and tell the people who are falling apart as a result of this illegitimate, this installed PPP regime. Go to Linden and tell them that. Go to Berbice and tell the people, let's stick together or fall apart. The people in Berbice are falling apart. The people in Kokwani are falling apart. The people in Georgetown, the people in Bartica, the people in Lethem, the people in Blackbush Polar, the people in Corriverton, all over, they are falling apart because you, Irfan Ali, refuse, you and your cronies in the PPP regime do not want the people to stick together. Hence the division and the falling apart of a nation. Compliments of the PPP. Meanwhile, these guys, back to these guys, they're not coming out to confront the PPP and the ills of the PPP. Some of them just parade on a little Facebook show and that's it. Confrontation done. It is done with. David Patterson is Shadow Minister of Works. But we hardly hear from David Patterson. Kemraj Ramjatan, well, the only time, I take that back. The only time we hear from David Patterson is when the PPP launch an attack on him. And so he rushes out to defend himself, and that's it. There's no defending of the people. Look at what's happening with all the fishermen and fisherwomen and all the other things in the agriculture sector. We hardly see Kemraj Ramjatan on the ground. He made a visit the other day to Port Morant. He jumped in his vehicle, went to Port Morant, and that's it. But you don't see these guys in Blackbush Polder. You don't see them out in Maibikuri and all things addressing individuals and their concerns out. Look, this is Yakasari, Blackbush Polder. You don't see these guys out there. You don't see them on the ground. They want to play sweet boy politics. Meanwhile, the PPP is doing all sorts of things to people. And they're saying, either we stick together or we fall apart. Such a silly, infantile statement. It's either we stick together or we fall apart. Meanwhile, Guyana is falling apart. Meanwhile, Guyana is breaking up. Meanwhile, Guyana, thousands upon thousands of citizens are punishing, but no proper representation on the part of the opposition. No proper representation. I will touch on that, but maybe not tonight, of that no proper representation. Now, let's look at what is happening. Is this what you mean by stick together or fall apart, whereas you're not concerned about the citizens, the plight of citizens in that country, irrespective of their political affiliation? Now, look, we may very well hear that there will be $100,000. They're going to wake up tomorrow and say they're going to be sharing out $100,000 to vagrants. It's going to call the cash grant, the vagrants cash grant. Vagrants cash grant. I hope people like Hamilton and people like who else? A bunch of them were vagrants before they became ministers, sucking the blood out of the citizens of the country. Some of them are still vagrants in parliament, right? $1 billion oil industry. And look at how citizens have to live. Look at the hospitals. Look at the lines at the hospitals. The conditions in the hospitals. And all manner of things. But yet, the opposition, for the most part, they're fast asleep and dealing with irrelevant matters about who turned up to be in a photograph to wish Amna Ali a happy birthday. Amna Ali a happy birthday. That's all they're concerned about. Well, let me see who I recognize in this picture. Let me see. I recognize the deputy mayor. I recognize former Minister of Housing, and she is Shadow Minister, Annette Ferguson, who promised that she was going to be in Linden over a week and a half. She hasn't reached the Linden as yet. At least I haven't seen any evidence, but she was at Amna Ali's birth anniversary. That is Natasha Singh. That is the mayor of Georgetown. He is there. Mr. Harman is there too. First Lady is there. President Granger is there. Ganesh is there. Coretta McDonald is there. Regional Chairman of Region 4 is there. Roysdale Ford is there. Shadow Minister of Legal Affairs. Don't recognize the young lady in the front. And then MP Ramsarup, is there. This is a guy who made a comment, and they're running away with the comment that he is calling for certain actions in Georgetown, right? Now, our elected officials, they have to be very cautious with what they say and what they write, because remember, the PPP has a lot of Dunce thugs at the office of the president and a lot of Dunce thugs at Freedom House. Now, I'm not saying, mind you, I'm only saying that the Dunce thugs, for the most part, are at the office of the president, and the Dunce thugs, for the most part, are at Freedom House. That's all I'm saying. I'm not calling anybody supporters any other sort of names. The Dunce thug title is for those people at Freedom House and at office of the president, and maybe some of them in Parliament as well. Can't leave out Parliament, but this is what folks are more concerned about, right? What else can we talk about quickly before I go? I'm looking at the time this evening. Gosh, I'm looking at the time. It's like I don't want to go and leave you guys. I honestly don't want to go and leave you guys. But let's take a look at this here. You've got to look at this. This is concerning the appointments, confirmation of a Chief Justice and the Chancellor. In 2021, this installed individual, Irfan Ali, said publicly, and as you see the date, August 3rd, 2021, this guy, Irfan Ali, said, Harman, of course, he didn't say it in such a masculine voice as mine, right? But Harman must quit gymnastics for Chancellor Chief Justice to be confirmed. In other words, Irfan was saying then that it is Harman who is humbugging this thing, and that Harman must quit playing gymnastics, and to have the Chancellor and the Chief Justice to be confirmed. This was 2021. You guys are going to love politics, huh? It's nothing new. In 2022, June of 2022, he's singing to a different tune, different dance. He jumped from soca to chutney. From soca to chutney. Seriously. This is what he's saying now. Ali says, will consult on Chancellor CJ, that's the Chief Justice, when the time comes. Now, all of a sudden, he's saying he is going to deal with it when the time comes. You notice the gymnastics? You notice who is really playing gymnastics? And Anta Banta? And Baizam Peter, Baizam Paul? Let me see how many of you know Baizam Peter, Baizam Paul. Maybe some of you from Georgetown would know Baizam Peter, Baizam Paul. That is the sort of politics Irfan Ali and those goons in the PPP, those Dunce thugs at Freedom House and at office of the president are playing. They are playing Baizam Peter, Baizam Paul politics with the people of Guyana. Baizam Peter, Baizam Paul. You know, the truth behind this is that they do not want to confirm the acting chancellor. They just do not want to confirm. They are more comfortable with the acting chief justice. Of course, they will be more comfortable with her, right? Good evening to you, Madam Acting Chief Justice. Of course, they'll be more comfortable with her, but they're not comfortable with the acting chancellor, Miss Janet Cummings, I believe. You know, they're not comfortable with her. They're just not comfortable with her. Hence the reason for Irfan Ali to say when the right time comes. Suddenly, it is when the right time comes. From this here, from Harman playing gymnastics to Irfan Ali playing by Zampita, by Zampal, by Zampita, by Zampal. And just to have you know that the leader of the opposition, oh yes, he's still there, yeah, Aubrey Norton, he's still around there doing his thing. Good evening to you, Aubrey. But Aubrey Norton, the leader of the opposition, said that he is prepared and he's ready to agree to the confirmation of the Chancellor and the Chief Justice. Now, I have a problem with that. Here's why I have a problem with that. Yes, I have a problem with that. Here's my problem. I don't just want to hear the opposition leader saying that he's ready to confirm these individuals. I want the opposition leader, I want to see somewhere or read somewhere that the opposition leader has met privately with the acting chancellor and the acting chief justice so that he can get a better sense, a better understanding that yes, these are the people who are fit and proper for their positions. This is not to say that I'm attacking the chancellor or anything, but I'm saying how it ought to be done, right? You just can't say you're ready to confirm them without meeting them and sitting down and having a better understanding with them. That should have been done a while now. It is not too late to do that. Because somewhere along the line, you may realize that, hey, maybe we should extend this search. Maybe I'm not comfortable with this confirmation right now. There's something that bothers me about this individual, whether it's the CJ or whether it's the chancellor. That is why it's important to meet with them. If you look at the confirmation hearings and so forth of persons who have been not appointed, but who have been nominated to become Supreme Court justices and so forth, they have to go, they have met with the individuals who will be voting for their confirmation, either vote yea or nay. And in this case, Aubrey Norton needs to be meeting with the acting chancellor and the acting chief justice. He needs to meet with them. Don't say, oh, you know them and just confirm them. No, that's not good politicking. It's not good. But he did say that he wants to confirm. And if that's the case, Irfan Ali should have said, let's go. Let's bacchanal. But Irfan Ali is not saying let's bacchanal. He's not. Because times have changed for him. He's not comfortable either with the chancellor or he's not comfortable with both. Or maybe he wants to go back to what Jagdev did with Karl Singh. Now, Karl Singh didn't have the experience to become the acting chancellor. Back in 2001, he was vying for that position up against folks like Claudette Singh. Folks like Claudette Singh. There were some folks in the PNCR who felt that Karl Singh was the guy, and they were actually trying to convince then opposition leader Desmond Hoyt, the late Mr. Desmond Hoyt, to confirm, to agree to Karl Singh over Claudette Singh. And Claudette Singh, that left a bitter taste in her mouth about the PPP and about Jack Deal, that they never made her into Chief Justice, even though she was far more qualified than a Karl Singh, who then had about 7 years experience, legal experience. And that is not what was required of the Constitution. So Jack Deal and the PPP pushed Karl Singh through. Karl Singh became the acting Chief Justice, then he became the acting Chancellor, and then you had acting Chief Justice Ian Chang, another guy. He's now dead. He did a lot of bidding, a lot of things for the PPP, mind you. So what the PPP wants is folks are folks who can be there either as CJ or either as Chancellor to do their biddings. And I'm saying to you, the only reason Irfan Ali is saying that when the right time comes is simply this. They are not prepared to confirm both individuals, both ladies as Chancellor and as Chief Justice. Something has gone wrong. And watch out for them. They are going to come up with some more names. They are going to say that the process needs to be changed and open the field for other applicants who may want to apply for the positions. Watch out for that coming. But let me send this message to Irfan Ali and them. Hope Ben is watching. Watch the jiggery pokery with the judicial system. Watch it. And the opposition politicians need to wake up, because as this woman says,
this ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not a before time. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not a before time. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not a before time. Long time got them lang loji, now you got them bongolo. Long time got them lang.
oh, that's right. Remind them that this time a long time indeed. People are not politically gullible at all. They're just not. All right. Looking at the time, and it's always a pleasure to be with you guys on this beautiful Tuesday evening, the 7th day of June. Thank you all for tuning in, but I just don't want to go as yet. There's something else I want to touch on before I go. A little bit of a not so good piece of news concerning this gentleman. Suddenly Williams, here's what happened. This guy was struck down. The driver picked him up, said that he was taking him for medical treatment. Nobody knows where he is. The driver, as far as I'm aware, he was arrested. He was released on $300,000 bail. And now the family members don't know where this guy is. Don't know where this guy is. And I can put my $10 right now on the block that this guy was dumped. The guy struck him down, pretended that he was taking him to the hospital, probably realized that, maybe he wasn't breathing, maybe he died on the spot or whatever. And instead of taking him to the hospital, just dump him in a corner. And yet the police released him, the guy that struck this man down, Williams down, released him on $300,000 bail so that he could go along his way and enjoy his life. And meanwhile, the family members of this guy, Williams, they're seeking justice. They want closure to this matter. But yesterday now, we were hearing, according to this paper, missing Enmore man's family seeks meeting with minister, that is Robeson Ben, who's running around putting people on the watch list. But he's not going to put himself and his some of his own crews around him. They need justice. So finally, they met with the acting top cop yesterday, Hicken, and Hicken promised them the world. They're going to this, and he's going to update them on all manner of things he's going to do. All manner of things. But as he said that to them, I remember these fishermen. Still missing. Still missing. Nobody's updating the family. No one at all. No closure to this. No justice for the family. And that's it. It's done with. But this is the same police who said that they will be updating the family. They will be doing this. All manner of things. Right? This is the same man, Robeson Ben, who spoke to the family and promised them justice. Everybody. Everyone is forgotten. These fishermen family are forgotten. No efforts to go after to locate either the bodies or whatever of these fishermen. None whatsoever. And speaking of fishermen, there's another fisherman by the name of Kalicharan Mohabir, not at Alness, but the neighboring village of Alness there is Alverston. If you're heading east, before you reach Alness, there is Alverston. Kalicharan Mohabir, a fisherman, still missing, but nobody cares. Nobody cares at all, right? This man struck down. And the reason why I brought up those other cases is this man struck down. They know who the person is that struck him down. They know who the person is that allegedly, took him to some hospital, God in heaven knows where, but no justice to the family. None whatsoever. And the top cop has promised to, keep in touch with the families, just like they have promised to keep in touch with this family, just like they have promised to keep in touch with Kalicharan Mohabir out at Alverston Village under quarantine. Promises, 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 huh? But look, speaking of Kalicharan Mohabir, the fisherman that is missing, still missing, weeks now, still missing. I wonder if the Minister of Agriculture, Mustafa, who is from Bloomfield Village, a few villages away from Alverston and Alness, I wonder if, since they're giving out 150,000 fishermen cash grants or whatever, I wonder if they're going to go to the relatives of Kalitran Mohabir and give them something, right? I just wonder. I also wonder if they're going to go to the family members of these fishermen who are missing. I don't know, and give the family members each $150,000. I don't know whether that's going to happen. I just don't know at all. Meanwhile, these folks want to lie to you, the citizens of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. All right, look at the time. And just on for just an hour. I promise you that I'll be back. I will be back, right? I promise you that for sure. But for now, I want to thank all of you for tuning in to 107.1 FM. Straight up. Tomorrow morning, from 9 o'clock in the morning, of course, to 11 o'clock, we have the mid-morning show right here on 107.1 FM. I've got to go now, though. Pray for a beautiful country. And whatever you're going through, I pray for you as well. God bless you all. And God bless that beautiful country we call Guyana. So long.
Hello, this is attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington Law Firm, located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you, so call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.
I'm in the mood. I'm feeling rude. I'm feeling hot. I want to run. The feeling exciting. So darling, let's do something. I wanna rub my body on your body. Rub my body on your body. Let me rub my body on your body. I wanna rub my body on your body. I wanna rub and love up. I wanna rub and kiss up. I wanna rub and jam up. I wanna rub and rub up. I wanna rub my body on your body. Rub my body on your body. Let me rub my body. body. I just get paid. I want to play. The vibes is right. I wanna hook up tight. No time to waste. I wanna work my waist. So come on our face. Give me a taste. I wanna rub my body on your body. I wanna rub my body on your body. Let me rub my body on your body. I wanna rub my body on your body. I wanna rub and love up. I wanna rub and kiss up.